You're listening to the GWP Legislative Day Special. I'm your host, Ivan Kedges, joined by co-host Jake Fulmer. Jake, what do you have for us today?
Today, we're joining you in Jefferson City, Missouri for Legislative Day.
Excellent. And we're joined also by special guests tonight, Mason Simpson and Daniela Hernandez. So thank you guys for joining us. It's great to have you on.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So again, as we mentioned at the top of this episode, we are here in Jefferson City, Missouri, the state capital of Missouri, for Legislative Day. So, Jake, what can you tell us about this Legislative Day? Why are we here today?
Well, why are we here today? We are here, different schools are here to learn a little bit more about how the state government operates. It gives us a chance to almost sit in on Congress and, the
Right.
state Congress and see what they're doing.
Right,
See
so
what
big
kind
part
of
of it right
those-
there. I've been to it before. Certainly a big part, but again, this is merely Legislative Day, though. It is CTSO Legislative Day. If you're not familiar, CTSO stands for Career and Technical Student Organizations, short tied to Career and Technical Education, or as otherwise known, Vocational Education. So we're working, of course, with DECA, Distributive Educational Clubs of America, marketing student organization adjacent to business. Also have FBLA, which is a business organization, chapters that are going to be here tomorrow as Legislative Day begins. So the other big component of CTSO Legislative Day is to come and have an opportunity to kind of network with those legislators, shake their hands. We get to do a legislative briefing that deals with ideally something relevant to career and technical student organizations that'll help us out, and then we'll also have the opportunity at the Capitol building to shake some hands with legislators, senators, representatives, and talk to them about our experience with CTSOs such as DEC, about our experience, and we've encouraged them to support legislation that would in turn support those career and technical student organizations. So again, huge part of it. We thank you all for giving special check. What else?
Oh, also, coming up, we are going to have some special guests on we're going to have them talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. They're going to give some insight into what their opinion about that is. And also, once we are done talking to them with the Super Bowl, we will have another new episode coming this Friday on Valentine's Day. We'll be talking a little bit about the history of that. We'll also have some more special guests on in our studio, so make sure to join us for that. Again, that is this Friday coming up at 6 p.m.
Stay tuned for that. Lots of great things headed your way on the Great World Podcast.
So,
to our YouTube channel for that.
Coming up, we will go ahead and have some guests that are also here with us from our school who are going to join us for some talk about the Super Bowl.
All right, can't wait to hear from them. We'll see you all there. So, what are we starting off with, Jake?
Well, a major event that took place a couple days ago, for our listeners who probably watched this, the Super Bowl.
Sweet.
Any
Let's,
thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, that's a bit of a sore subject.
Oh, really?
I think we all knew it was going to happen with the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
There
did
was
you expect
no
the
way.
Chiefs to win 3 years in a row?
Yeah, that was kind of a stretch. They
Well,
did not do
they-
good
Oh.
at all. They got bamboozled.
I will
Yeah.
say they did a little better in the last half.
They did. In fact, they had a lot of yardage, or Mahomes did at least in the second half. So there
You know,
was
it
that.
seemed like a lot that happened in such a short time, but it's still the second lowest yardage ever got in a Super Bowl game. Second lowest.
Really? Wow, I didn't see that statistic.
Only 133 yards, I think, is how much was taken
Oh, wow.
given by the Eagles.
Really?
That's
Wow.
very low.
Wow.
Usually they get that on play. That was the whole game.
Well, that's the Super Bowl. Do we know what the final score from the Super Bowl was, Joe?
22 to 40.
40. I think it actually ended with 40.
40? It might have been 40. It was somewhere.
Maybe 40 to 22, maybe.
I know the
Well,
Chiefs
That
had
sounds
20.
right. I think it was.
It was actually ended up being a lot closer, but it was a total shutout for the first half and
Really?
even the start of the third quarter. So, just gonna.
And we're joined now by another special guest, Mr. Nolan DeWeese. Thank you again for coming on, Nolan. We're glad to have you.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So we were just talking about the Super Bowl that just got over with and the final score, how things went down. We'll leave off then, Jake.
Well, we said that the final score was 40-22, and there seems to be a little bit of controversy behind if the game was scripted. But before we get to that, I just want to see, did everybody here watch the Super Bowl, or at least see part of it?
I saw part of it. I did.
Part of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Start to finish.
Okay. You
Yes,
saw it too.
I did.
Okay, and I only saw a couple of parts of it.
Yeah, I saw
but
a couple snippets of it.
once we get to halftime, it was like, I
Sure.
don't want to see that in
Yeah,
it.
So the real question is, Jake, what do you think? Was it scripted or not?
There was definitely some things that were very questionable during the interception from when Mahomes intercepted over to the Eagles. That was a little bit questionable. The reason it was questionable is he didn't even really seem to be close to his receiver. It seemed almost that he was closer to the opposing team, and so that does make it a little bit questionable. There's also been a lot of controversy behind the fact that all of the Chiefs game this year had ended on like the last play or the last minute of the game.
They've all been close.
Yeah, and also if you look at, if any of you have watched the NBC Sunday Night Football, those are almost every week incredibly close. In fact, about 5 of them have come down to the very last 3 seconds of the game.
Really?
That is how close they've been.
Now,
And so I think it really warrants the question, are those games in particular more scripted?
I have a question
So
for you.
great question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that they are? What's your personal opinion?
If there were any NFL games that I thought were scripted, I would think it would be the Sunday night games. I really do, because all of the other ones seem pretty like there's a mix of close games and not close games. But I feel like that 80% of the Sunday night games were within one possession at the end of the game.
Sure.
And I don't feel like that's very realistic.
Doesn't happen very often.
No.
Yeah.
And have you seen the news? There's a referee has been investigated for corruption
Really?
because it seems he was in. They say he was linked with a poker player. And they had a shared sports betting account on football.
Wow.
Which, if you don't know, referees aren't supposed to have any kind of hand in any kind of sports betting for obvious reasons.
Right.
So a lot of people say the Chiefs shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl in the first place.
Wow. True.
But that's also not 100% confirmed, so take that with a grain of salt. Those are Facebook rumors, so you can never
Well,
know
that's
for sure
interesting.
those.
Certainly, I haven't heard that. So, Jake, it sounds like you're open to the prospect that, at least to some degree, fixed.
What about you, Isaac? What do you think?
What's your
Well, I'd say I'm with Jake on that. I'm open to the prospect of it, but not totally certain that
Right.
a majority of those games are fixed.
Okay.
Well, it's been a pleasure being here with you. Unfortunately, I've had to take a significant amount of medication today that's making me very, very tired. So I was wondering, could I get our room keeping?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you
No
very much.
problem. Thanks again for joining us.
It's a pleasure being here with you.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Appreciate you. See you in
Wait,
like
my
15 minutes.
Okay.
Then you want to continue?
I was translated. Yeah. Little
Very
bang.
much.
Well, thanks again for joining us. my
Of
friend.
course. If you
All
ever have any of these
Now,
questions,
continuing
sure.
on here, so we also, so a couple of other things I want to say about that with the Chiefs and the Super Bowl. Is it possible that there was, so everybody after the parade, or really, I guess, during the last parade in 2024 for the Kansas City Chiefs, there was a lot of talk, I believe it was mostly from Kelsey, about this is not really the one that we care about so much, it's the next one. And
Well, I
it's
didn't
because
see
he
how
wanted
very
to
well.
make history. It's part of the reason why. So is it possible, and I'm not saying that this is accurate, I'm not even saying that there's evidence that goes along with it, but some people know that I have some wild theories sometimes, and here is one of them.
All right.
After that was said, that everybody got on this idea, almost like this bandwagon per se, that the Chiefs had to almost three-peat so that everybody would get really excited, that a lot of merchandise would potentially be made for a three-peat.
Right.
And then it was all scripted. And so all of those really close games were purposely won for the Chiefs so that they would make it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then everybody would be disappointed.
Okay.
Almost, it's like the NFL might have been trying to prove to us that we shouldn't get an idea stuck in our head the entire season.
Or did you see Kelsey in the Super Bowl? He got what? They had 2 plays, I think, that he was involved in the entire time.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It seems as if the Chiefs have gotten really lucky each and every game, and potentially might not even be in the playoffs if it weren't for some very questionable calls. And then it almost seems as if those questionable calls went considerably against the Chiefs during the Super Bowl, but not any of the other games that led up to it. Is there a reason?
No, I'm not sure, but that's an interesting theory.
There's a question you can ask yourself. You kind of do your own research, make your own opinion on it.
Absolutely.
Same thing with conspiracies like Kennedy assassination and all of that. You just kind of have to take the evidence and make your own decision.
Sure.
We will be getting more information on that later
That'll
this
be
year.
interesting to
That's
see.
a
People are talking about investigating the NFL for.
Remember there was stuff last year about people saying that the script got leaked or something.
Oh, well, those sort
But
of
I
things.
believe that was a hoax, so
Because it was
Yeah.
found to be false.
yes.
None of the stuff is. Unless it was their script and they were like, oh crap, it's leaked. We gotta change this bad boy up.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know if they're smart enough for that. I'm just gonna be honest. It takes a lot of movement to change that stuff.
I'd be skeptical of it.
I would be skeptical.
Well, that covers the Super Bowl. What else are we looking at, Jay?
Oh, I guess I just wanted to mention one more thing actually about the
Super
Eagles,
Bowl. Yeah.
which is the fact that in Philadelphia they will have their parade this
Oh,
Friday.
boy.
It has been moved to Valentine's Day due to a major winter storm that is going to be coming in Wednesday and Thursday. So it has been moved to Friday.
Have you guys seen the videos and stuff of the Philadelphians after the Super Bowl?
Nah,
There was that one video where they tore a light pole, out of the ground, and they were parading it through the streets.
And it seems, wasn't there even some vandalism when they lost a couple of years ago?
Oh, it was
Oh,
terrible.
it was awful.
They were like, it was basically. I
Yeah.
think they considered it a riot at one point.
Yeah,
Wasn't
after they
there-
lost Super Bowl
Wasn't
to
there
the second.
like a shooting or something?
Last year at the Chiefs
That was at
parade.
the Chiefs parade.
Yes,
The Chiefs parade. Okay.
there was some shots fired, but no
Yeah.
significant casualties.
In fact, we had a local student to our school in our grove
few of those.
who
Yeah,
was,
there was a group. There was photos of them on the news.
New York Times front page. Somebody in our class made it there.
It was a scary situation.
It was very
We
scary.
didn't make it there, but they're there, I guess.
And what was worse is we were all watching it at school live.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's unfortunately shootings are a thing in America. Not just America, worldwide. I mean, there was that shooting in where was it, Sweden? Not too long.
Really? Was
Oh,
that
no.
recent?
But yeah, it was recent. Like probably like a week, 2 weeks ago, there was a shooting at a school in Sweden.
Yeah.
So it shows you that's not just America. It's also countries without strict gun laws. It happens anywhere. So always be prepared. It's my message. It's my message.
Absolutely.
And speaking kind of on a related subject about things that have been happening a little bit recently, what about all these plane crashes
Right.
last year?
Oh, that's happened.
noticed
That's-
this?
yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Right,
Of course,
it's
outside of
amazing.
the stellar company Boeing, you get a nice open air ride. You get up in the air and they have it slide open. You get a bit of fresh air, and it even sucks off your shirt for you, so you can do a bit of sunbathing.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, I believe, the first week of January when that happened.
Now
Or maybe it was last year.
I do have to
Last
bring
year,
up
2 years.
that is quality air travel.
if maybe all these plane crashes, they're all Boeing. And there
Right.
was last year there was that whole thing going on with Boeing.
Yeah.
And all the
Types of Boeing are
whistleblowers.
suspicious.
And then all the whistleblowers turned up dead.
Right.
And they didn't suspicious. And now all of a sudden all these planes are crashing into each other and hitting the ground and
Right.
not taking off. Makes you think maybe there was a reason those people were blowing the whistle.
Absolutely.
A little
So-
suspicious.
To my count, we've had 3 recent major plane crashes. One that took off from not far from here, just in our
Mhm.
4th state area, of course, we're in Missouri. Took off from Wichita, Kansas, heading towards Washington, D.C. Crash above the Potomac.
Into a Black Hawk military helicopter.
Right into a Black Hawk military helicopter.
I
And
believe the other one was headed to Branson,
right,
which is not that far away from where we're at either.
anyone on the flight, they were not able to find any of them alive. They were just fishing bodies out of the Potomac. It was a terrible
And then
tragedy.
there was that one that didn't even take off, it just hit the
Right.
wall. I didn't
And that
know
was
that.
out of Philadelphia, and it was actually headed to the Springfield Branson Airport, also here in Missouri.
Now you said it was a third one. I'm not too familiar with this
Third one, yes. Took off
Alaska.
from Alaska.
Alaska is where that one took place.
Oh, is that the one that went missing for a while?
I believe so. Do we know any more of the detail of what happened with the one in Alaska, Jake?
I'm not sure,
thought
but
I
we
saw
do have to remember the one that happened at the Potomac River was the deadliest plane crash, unfortunately, since 9/11.
Really?
The deadliest one since then.
That is unfortunate.
So that's been almost 24 years on that one. And then, of course, a few years ago, there was that person who stole an airplane
Mm-hmm.
and then just dived to the Pacific Ocean.
Well,
Yeah.
seems like we're going to come to an end here.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to have you guys on again, but thanks again
Of
for
course.
joining us. It was excellent, so thank you,
Of
Mason
course,
Simpson.
thanks for having
and
me.
Thank you, Isaac.
It was
It's a wonderful
excellent to have you
experience.
both on.
Yeah.
Always happy
It
to
was
come
great.
on.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful
Thank
experience.
you.
Thank you.
I think we have much more to talk about in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, again, we were joined by special guests Mason Simpson and Daniela Hernandez. That's all for now. Until next time,
Jacob Fulmer.
I'm Isaac Hedges, host of the Great World Podcast. Until next time. From all of us at the Great World Podcast and GWP International, good night and God bless.